All right, welcome everyone to Life on the Bubble. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by my co-host Seth Greenberg. We're going to look at the left side of your bracket. That's the South and the East. Over the next few minutes here, let's start in the South. These games will be played in Louisville. Number 1 Alabama taking on number 5 San Diego State. Then we have number 15 Princeton taking on number 6 Creighton. This is again a case where if San Diego State can impose their will, you've taught me well, Seth, impose their will.
About time you paid attention.
Yes, then they've got a really good shot. Although San Diego State was able to score over 70 against Furman, so they can score, and that was even without Matt Bradley scoring really well. So that's a good sign for them. But it comes down to, can they impose their will on Alabama? So the question is, how do they do it?
Yeah, well, be who they are. The teams that have given Alabama a hard time have been teams like San Diego State. You think about Tennessee, physical game. You think about Oklahoma, physical game. Even Connecticut, physical game. How do you do that? How do you do that? You be who you are. This San Diego State, older, one of the oldest teams in the tournament, against a very young team. Extremely physical. Don't get stretched out. Don't take bad shots. Don't turn it over. Take care of the ball. Don't take a bad shot. Set your defense. Keep the game in front. Keep the ball on the outside of the court if you can, because if it gets downhill in the middle, then you've got a choice to make. They've got to force Alabama to shoot twos. Force them to shoot twos, contested twos. Don't overhelp and give the dunker spot a chance to dunk it. Don't overhelp and give a kick out for a step in three. Guard your yard. That's basically what they got to do. Then offensively, they're going to pound that thing right down their throats, whether it's posting up Bradley, whether it's Parrish maybe making a jumper to open up the court, whether it's Mensah getting to the offensive glass. Look, I have Alabama winning it all. This is not a great matchup for Alabama. I still have them winning this game. This thing is going to be 68-60 maybe. This game is going to be really, if San Diego State takes care of the ball and rebounds the ball, Alabama's going to have to make a play down the stretch, and all the pressure is going to be on Alabama.
No, I agree with you. But I do think Matt Bradley's going to have to make shots. He did the first game, did in the second. Hey, I saw Creighton. I was in Denver. Man, first game, it was Ryan Kalkbrenner. He went for 30. Second game, Ryan Nemhard went for 30. So two different ways of scoring. Both guys did not play last year in the second round and lost to Kansas because they both were injured. So they've got a new sense of, purpose here of being in this tournament. Played so well against Baylor, dominated them, going against a Princeton team that in our previous pod, we're talking about how they're really good, and no one should be shocked if they keep advancing. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I look at Creighton. Their starting five is as good as any in the country. You talk about Nemhard, you talk about Kalkbrenner, but what about Alexander? What about Luma? What about, when you look at this team, Baylor Scheineman knocking down threes, rebounding the ball. We always love their spacing and how they play offensively, but they're better defensively. Kalkbrenner's as good a perimeter defender in terms of defending ball screens as anyone in the country. Did I say, by the way, what's the kid? You're going to have to clip that. What's the four-man?
Arthur Kaluma?
Kaluma, right?
Yeah.
So did I say Kaluma?
You might have said Aluma, but
yeah, I might have said. Let me switch it. Just kind of add that, and maybe we can edit that out. Yeah, and then Arthur Kaluma. He's a big physical four-man that can step out and shoot the basketball. You look at that starting five. That starting five is hard to match up with. But again, like I said a second ago, defensively, they've got versatility. Defensively, they can defend ball screens. Defensively, they limit you to one shot. Defensively, they have versatility. So in terms of being a complete team, Creighton is as complete a team as any in the country. They're playing against a Princeton team that is not old school Princeton. It's not Pete Carrill's Princeton. It's not chin action. It's more four out. Aluma is a hard matchup because he handles the ball like a point guard. They play with great spacing. They pass the ball. They don't settle. They're tough. And late game, man, their late game stuff is really good. Their late game stuff is really, really, really good. Um, Again, it's a Sweet 16. Nothing would surprise me. I've got Creighton winning this game, but I think this will be a heck of a basketball game. This game will be very appealing to the eyes.
Yeah. So the one that thing before we go to the East, as I'm listening to you, what I'm hearing is there really are three different ways of these three different teams that could beat Alabama. They may not, but you've got defensive team in San Diego State. You got an offensive team in Creighton that can run with Alabama and
And
score
defense.
80, 90, 100 points if they need to. And then a Princeton team that, whether it's old, new, whatever, they're not easy to play. So there's definitely three different ways of these teams that could cause Alabama, the top seed in this region, a problem, depending on who they face, if they face one of the other two.
Look, all these teams have won games. If you can beat Arizona, you can beat Alabama. Now, Alabama has to help you. Like Alabama has to have a day they don't shoot it. Alabama has to have a day maybe that the ball gets stuck a little bit. Maybe Alabama has a situation where um, they the pressure of everything that's gone on during the course of the end of the season catches up with them. But I do like I. There are teams that can win this matchup.
All right, so they're clearly the favorite in the South, top seed. That's natural. In the East, at Madison Square Garden, Purdue out, top seed out. 2 seed Marquette, which just won on that floor 2 weeks ago, they are out. So what do we have? We have still, I think, very intriguing matchups. We've got Florida Atlantic, which most of the country has never heard of, doesn't know anything about. Dusty May's done a great job out of Conference USA. They're the 9 going against the 4 Tennessee and Rick Barnes, who's been to a Final Four at Texas. Then you've got Tom Izzo, number 7, Michigan State, Spartan Strong, going against a 3 seed in K-State, coached by Jerome Tang, who may win the Naismith Coach of the Year. Did an unbelievable job, unbelievable storyline there with Keontae Johnson, who wasn't even supposed to ever play basketball again, with what happened when he collapsed at Florida. A couple years later, here he is in the Sweet 16. Marquise Noel, unbelievable point guard, getting in the lane. So we got good matchups. Tennessee FAU, K-State, Michigan State. How do you see these two?
Yeah, I think again, I think Tennessee's got a tough matchup. I think because what's the one way not to play against Tennessee's half court defense? Play ahead of it. And FAU's can play ahead of it. And they're going to play with great speed and great flow. Now they can get a stop and they can rebound a basketball. The speed in which they convert from offense to defense, the spacing in which they play with, playing on one post player, basically 4 guards. So one of those bigs is going to have to guard on the floor, or Rick Barnes is going to have to play Josiah James at the 4. If he doesn't make that adjustment, say, we're gonna be physical, we're gonna use our size, we're gonna dominate this game on the glass, we're gonna do all those things, then you know what? FAU's got a shot because one thing FAU does, their ability to convert offense to defense. And Davis, man, is that guy a tough matchup? That guy just scores. He scores. You talk about 3-level scorers. I mean, defensive rebound, he pushes it. You hit ahead, he attacks. Gets in the mid post, shoot a little fade. Uh, the Martin kid can score it. I mean, they've got shot makers and floor gamers all over the court. They come at you with great depth. They will pressure and try to push you out, so try to exploit the lack of a true point guard. I think it's going to be, the FAU, if you want the ultimate upset, I can see the FAU pulling off this upset.
Well, they didn't win 33 games and not be a pretty good basketball team. I don't care what league you're in. You win 33 games, you're pretty good.
Now, the one on the bottom, man.
Tyson Walker and Marquise Noel. If both these guys play to their potential, that is going to be a great match. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to always guard each other because Hogard obviously is going to be in there a lot. But just
Hogarth's going to guard Noel. They're going to guard Noel with a bigger defender.
No, but I'm saying in terms of those two guys' ability to score the basketball, Noel and Walker, I think they could be tit for tat and each time down hitting a big shot.
Yeah, look, Noel, this is going to come down to ball screen defense for both teams. It's going to come down to ball screen defense for Michigan State. They're going to have to corral Noel coming off that ball screen. You can't let him turn the corner. because you turn the corner, he's throwing it for a dunk, or he's kicking out for a three. You've got to
Or he's getting
defend
to
him.
the or he's getting hammered and getting to the line.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is your point of pickup on Noel's got to be up to four. We saw you go under or you get caught up in that screen, he's going to lift up and he's going to knock down three. Keontae Johnson made a big three. He was a non-factor. A lot of that had to do with Jacob Toppin in the last game. When Johnson plays four, that's a tough matchup for Joey Hauser. That's going to be a tough matchup for Joey Hauser. They might even cross-match in that matchup and have Akins defend Johnson, where then they all of a sudden run him off that little loop curl for lobs or post-ups. On the other end, K-State they defend well on the perimeter, all right? Their ball screen defense. Casey Wallace got downhill, got to the rim, had the ability to finish. That's A.J. Hogarth. All right? That's A.J. Hogarth. So, where's the other matchup going to be in terms of Tyson Walker? Because Hogarth, on any given night, can turn the corner, get to the rim, and make a play and score. So, ball screen defense is going to be important. Defensive transition is going to be important. Michigan State's transition game, if they get stops, boom, they're up the floor. They're playing ahead of defense. Make or miss, they're scoring it. And then I think the bigs of Michigan State are a little underappreciated.
But
I really
neither,
do.
correct me if I'm wrong here, neither team has a true, pounded into the post. They're guys that are screeners, rim protectors,
And
lob
offensive
dunkers.
rebounders.
Yeah. So, they're
Well,
going to be effective on
the
both sides.
Quan Tomlin's not that way, but he does it the other way. He does it by playing in the dunker spot, running the floor, handling the ball, making your bigs guard on the perimeter. Masood does it by stepping out and knocking down, hash mark threes. So both of these games are going to be big, big time games.
Yeah, and I would say this. In the East, I literally could see any of the four winning here. I mean, you're going to maybe do a favorite on seeding with either K-State or Tennessee, but I wouldn't be shocked if any one of these four is in Houston.
I agree with you, Andy. I think that this will be just a fascinating watch.
At the Garden. All right, so that's our breakdown of the South and East, that left side of the bracket. In our next pod, we're going to look at the right side, the Midwest and the West.